positions this season. The coaching staff feels comfortable with their depth. Redshirt freshman Christian Beal-Smith has been a great addition, and of course hoping to see big things out of Cade Carney.
Could be a big day for Cade Carney. He is a leader of this unit. There's Maurice French, the speedy kick returner from Pittsburgh. Wake Forest won the toss, chose to defer, and that sends the Pittsburgh offense onto the field first, and they will take over from the 25-yard line. Wake Forest and Pittsburgh have been in the same conference, the ACC, for 6 seasons now. And because of the quirk in the schedule, this is the first ever meeting in the history between the Panthers and the Demon Deacons. And it's Kenny Picket running the show for the Panthers offense, making his 12th career start. He's 7-4. The 20-year-old leads the Panthers onto the field.
Offensive coordinator Sean Watson talked about Kenny Picket. He does a great job just by managing the game and making the right decisions to be able to create opportunities for other players to get the football.
Fullback George Aston in motion. It's Olesen in the backfield, and the Panthers go play action, looking deep. Flag down. Maurice French had it knocked away. At the last moment, Jasir Taylor got the ball, and there's a couple flags in the backfield.
Holding, offense, number 78, half the distance to the goal. Correction, 10-yard penalty, first down.
I think Boogie Basham, he came off of the end on the outside with a great under pass rush move. Right tackle Alex Bookster just held him, and that's what they called him with the flag on. Boogie Basham has been very active over the past few weeks. They talked about his effort and his knowledge of understanding what's going on.
What do you think about the play call? Play action on the first snap.
It's aggressive.
First rush for Quadri Olesen, and he picks up 5 out to the 20, coming off a career-high 235 yards in the route over Virginia Tech, and he got 97 of those on his last carry of the game. A moment that he will absolutely never forget. Took him over 1,000 yards for the season.
And he actually talked about that. He was like, you know what if I have the longest run of the year?
Yeah, he said he talked about it on the sideline with Darren Hall before he went out on the field. Like Ted Williams calling his shot. Or I should say Babe Ruth calling his shot. Ted Williams on the final play of your career at your home stadium. They go incomplete to the perimeter. And interesting, we do see Malik Carter on the field. It's going to be 3rd and long. We weren't clear whether we'd see this true freshman who now is playing in his 4th game. So that makes it unlikely he's going to redshirt this year, because they wouldn't play him today. You'd think if they wanted to play him next week or in a potential championship game.
Yeah, and he is the secret weapon. We didn't mention him in the open, but this guy brings a lot of versatility and playmaking ability out on the football field.
Illegal substitution. Too many men on the field for Pittsburgh. A start that is not going to delight Pat Narduzzi.
Not at all. And you talk about the identity and how you want to do that. First drive of the game, 2 flags, 2 penalties. Not the way you want to start out when you have an opportunity to come out here and really make a statement.
3rd down and 20. This Wake Forest defense has had its ups and downs. They haven't given up too many chunk plays, though, the last couple weeks. It's Trey Tipton, and he'll take it to the 27, but still a 8-yard gap between the spot and the first down line, and the Pitt punting unit coming onto the field.
Nice job out of Wake Forest defense on that last drive. They purposely put everybody back, knowing that the sticks were a mile long. Made the throw go underneath, made the tackle get off the field for a 4th down.
Greg Dortch had 2 punt return touchdowns against Towson back in September. Kirk Christodoulou, the Aussie punter, really rebounded from a rough start to the year. This is a low spiral, returnable for Dortch from his 31. Picks up a block. This is where Dortch is dangerous, but a tremendous special teams tackle. That's Dennis Briggs, the senior captain, coming up with a stop.
Yeah, and George, he was trying to get to the wall on the other side, but nice, very nice coverage by Pitt's defensive back to be able to make that play. Dennis Briggs, one of their captains.
Let's take a look at Jamie Newman. Had played just 66 total snaps in his career prior to last Thursday when he played all 71. 3 yards shy of 300, and he threw 3 touchdowns, including the game winner with 30 seconds to go. Greg Dortch lost a couple yards on the first completion of the game for the Wake offense.
Yeah, and he's going to the place where he knows his comfort lies. Dane Jackson, probably their best defensive back for Pitt, what they have. Very familiar with the calls. They said he'll be playing away from their bench with confidence, knowing that he understands the calls and where the weakness of the defense lies.
Cade Carney in the backfield, takes the handoff from Newman, and he picks up 3. It's going to be 3rd and long. We got the news moments ago from Stormy that Matt Colburn, Wake's leading rusher, who had the incredible 243 yards on the ground against Louisville, not playing today. What's the impact?
The impact is huge because they have a 1-2 punch as well when you look at Wake Forest, and now you don't have any change of tempo.
Flag down for offside, but Wake doesn't need the flag. Downfield, it's Sage Surratt, and that's a Wake Forest first down.
This is what Jamie Newman brings to the table. He gives the opportunity.
Defense, number 17. That penalty is declined. Result of the play. First down.
He's going to give his wide receivers the opportunity to make that one-on-one catch, that one-on-one grab. And that's why it was so important that Coach Ruggiero, the offensive coordinator for Wake, tell his wide receivers, make sure you be ready when your opportunity comes.
Warren Ruggiero, the offensive coordinator, been with Dave Clawson a long time. Here's Carney, finds a gap, spins his way all the way down to the 24. After a 30-yard gain on the pass to Surratt, it's Carney for another Deacon first down, gain of 14. Curious how fast Wake is going to go today. They snap it with 27 on the play clock. Newman wants the big ball, and he hits the pylon, overthrowing Dortch. Last week, Zikio, Wake Forest clearly slowed things down. Dave Clawson had a quarterback in his first career start. They knew they were banged up defensively, and they got to the line quickly, but they took their time when they got there. We were curious how fast they would push the tempo against Pitt today.
A lot of that will determine where they are defensively and how they're playing the football game. Tempo is everything, trying to create the plays that they run. Cade Carney is a very good running back, and I know Matt Colburn is not there, but I love the way Cade Carney runs the football. He inflicts punishment on the opposing team.
With the long carry, Carney just went over 1,500 yards in his career. Now on 3rd and 8, leaping grab right near the marker made by Surratt. Philippe Motley in the coverage.
Jamie Newman doing a nice job. Surratt, look at the little push off that just gave him enough area to be able to allow Jamie Newman to find that little pocket for the catch.
Surratt, 8 catches last week after only 14 in the previous 8 games, after he had 11 catches in the opener against Tulane. And now they spotted it just shy of the marker. It's 4th and 1, and some boos from the crowd as Nick Skiba, the field goal kicker, comes onto the field.
Yeah, they didn't like the spot, and they wanted to go for it also.
32-yard try for Skiba, and it's right down the middle. He's made his last 6 field goals, but Wake Forest didn't want the most since Tony Dorsett led the Panthers to 530 yards. And it's funny, Dave Clawson was a gigantic Tony Dorsett fan growing up. Clawson today coaching his 231st game as a head coach. It's his first against the team that he grew up rooting for, the team that, as he said, made him love college football. His father's a Pitt alum. He grew up going to 1 Pitt game a year at the old Pitt Stadium, go to the same hot dog shop in downtown Pittsburgh, and he and Pat Narduzzi have known each other for more than 2 decades as they go head-to-head as head coaches for the first time. Pittsburgh didn't get off to a great start offensively. The holding penalty on the first play kind of set the tone.
It did set the tone. First drive, 2 penalties, pretty much a 3 and out. And that's not the identity of the Pitt Panthers when they want to come in here and run the football effectively.
Picket under center. The sophomore center, Jimmy Morrissey, flanked by a bunch of seniors on that offensive line, and Darren Hall met immediately at the line. Justin Sternad stepped up. Let's check in with Stormy down on the sideline.
Evan, you mentioned just how big of a fan Dave Clawson was of Tony Dorsett. He shared with us a moment when he was coaching at Bowling Green in 2009, and one of their receivers, Freddie Barnes, was up for the Bolitnikoff Award, so he was down in Orlando for the ESPN College Football Award show. He was on the elliptical, and Tony Dorsett was on the treadmill next to him. Clawson said that there were very few times in his life where he was starstruck, but that was one of them.
Understandable. Be a little starstruck when one of your childhood heroes strolls in. Darren Hall met by Cameron Glenn. It's going to be 3rd down and 8.
And it's important coming into this game for Wake Forest. They need to stop the run. Cameron Glenn will play a very big part in doing that. Nice job of coming in, filling up the hole.
Pickett launched it deep on the first play from scrimmage on the opening drive. It was underthrown. There was a holding penalty anyway. Going to air it out here on 3rd down. Basham provides the pressure, and the completion is short of the 1st down. It's going to be 4th and 2. French with the catch. Jaquez Williams with the stop. And the punting unit coming back on for Pitt.
Listen, I love what Wake Forest is doing. They just started doing this a few weeks ago, mugging all of the guys up on the line of scrimmage, pulling them out. It changes the protection for Pitt's offensive line. Made him throw it out quicker than he wanted to.
It's been a tumultuous year for the Wake defense, but certainly last week against NC State, their best game of the season, and off to a great start today. Another short punt to the Wake sideline, and Dortch from the 26 makes a move out across the 35, and he's spun down across the 40. You never know when that guy touches the ball. Will he make a house call? Wake with the ball next. Drive in the last minute. Jack Frudenthal said he caught the ball, turned around, and just started running. And he was surprised he got to the end zone. No one touched him. The game-winning score for the Wake tight end. Deacon's second possession starts with a Carney run, and he'll get 1 yard. 2nd down and 9. Rashad Weaver, talented defensive end for the Panthers front, makes the stop.
It's just as important for Pitt to understand we need to stop Cade Carney, even though Matt Coburn is not in the game playing.
Carney again, and wrapped up by Patrick Jones II. Wake's first drive involved a key 3rd down conversion, a pass to Sage Surratt. On this 3rd down, Newman looks to the sideline. Surratt at the bottom of your screen. Dortch in the slot to the right. Newman flushed out of the pocket. Fires to the outside, and he's got Bachman.
Jamie Newman, he was locked on Dortch. He saw Dortch wasn't there, but then he kept his progression. He was patient. That's the poise of finding another receiver to hit.
Carney going nowhere. Great pursuit that time. Salim Brightwell in there first. Take a look at our 4 keys to the game for both teams, specifically for the Wake Forest offense. Let's talk about the Pitt defense as well.
Yeah, it's important. These are the things that Pitt is going to have to do. Make Jamie Newman uncomfortable. How? You got to be able to rush him. This is really his second full game. Make Jamie show you what he can do.
Here's
under
Newman,
duress.
Newman to throw. Dropped by Surratt. May have been tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think that ball got tipped on the line. It did. Shane Roy.
Shane Roy, the nose guard, touching the ball in the first quarter on his birthday. Happy birthday, Shane Roy. 23 years old today.
Yeah, you deserve the tip, Shane.
And when you ask the Pitt coaches about unsung heroes, they bring up the interior linemen, Roy and Amir Watts. And there's another deflection and nearly an interception. Sean Idowu was there, but Surratt playing the role of the DB prevents the pick, and Wake will get the punt team on the field.
Yeah, they really dodged a bullet right there. Sean Idowu. But the pressure up front, I think that was Rashad Weaver, who came in, stuck his hand in, was able to get the tip.
Arujo Lope standing back at his 10 as Dom Maggio boots a good one. Arujo Lopes hit pretty quickly, and Pitt will start at their own 11. Panthers have their third possession when we come back, trailing 3-0. ACC championship game, that'll happen if the Panthers can win today or next week against Miami, or with a Virginia loss, the Cavaliers take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the second game of our doubleheader coming up at 3:30. Kenny Picket, 2 for 3 so far, 17 yards, but the Panthers have gone 3 and out twice. Arujo Lopes around the edge. That's a first down, first of the day for Pitt.
This is the speed sweep that they always like to run, and George Ashton, the fullback, came outside and threw a great block on Chuck Wade, and that gave the little extra yardage. That's what they like out of Ashton. He's a guy, he doesn't even care about getting the ball. Big team guy who wants to inflict pain on everything that he hits.
His teammates talk about him with such reverence for the way he's played, the way he's battled throughout his career through injuries. Pickett swings it outside to French, and he's met by a swarm of black jerseys. DJ Taylor, who missed some time, back out there today for the Wake Forest defense. And Chuck Wade, the converted wide receiver in the defensive secondary, now involved on the stop.
Pitt tried to rely on, okay, guys, let's sell them with the play action hard on one side, but defensive coordinator Lyle Hemphill did a nice job of playing zone coverage behind it. Guys were already on that side of the field waiting for that pass to come over.
Trey Tipton in motion, and they swing it outside. Arujo Lopes has the first down. Pushed out of bounds at the 39-yard line by Chuck Wade. Pittsburgh clearly wanting to get on the outside in their third possession of the game.
Yeah, what you do when the run game is not going, throw the little pop passes out on the outside and let your receiver, Rafael Arujo Lopes, let him make the play. And those plays are just as good as run plays.
Arujo Lopes only 3 catches in the last 3 weeks. Touched the ball twice on this series. 11-yard run and a 15-yard catch and run. No gain on first down. Sternad makes the stop. Let's check in with Stormy down on the sunny sideline.
Evan, we might not have seen it there, but a big reason the rush game has been so prominent for Pitt is this offensive line group, and they're extremely tight-knit. So much so that they asked head coach Pat Narduzzi if they could stay in the penthouse at the hotel together if they as a team rushed for 500 yards. He ultimately said yes. It's been kind of a goal for them the last couple of weeks, and they've come extremely close twice. Offensive coordinator Sean Watson even joked that they're kind of badgering him now because they were just a run away in that Virginia Tech game, 8 yards away, and didn't end up getting it because they put in the 2s.
Yeah, we'll see how much they run the ball today when Wake Forest stacks the box against them. And they talk about their identity as they complete the pass to Stacey or Mack. You get the feeling Narduzzi, even if he saw 10 in the box, would say, I don't care, we can still run it against you.
He doesn't care. And that's what I want everybody to understand, because as we get going, you will see times Wake Forest will stack the box to stop the run. He will still continue to run the same play because they truly believe not only do you have to stop it, but you got to stop it consistently.
Ball tried to bounce it back to the right. There was nowhere to go.
Yeah, Wake Forest defensive line, Willie Yarberry, Zeke Rodney, right up front, just playing stout. And it makes it hard for a running football team like Pitt to be able to get on the positive side of that yardage when you have 2 nose tackles right there in the middle, playing hard, playing with their hands, getting off blocks.
2nd and 8. And the give to the man in motion, Malik Carter. Running to the short side of the field, and pretty good pursuit from Boogie Basham. We're at BB&T Field in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The Demon Deacons at 5-5. The Pitt Panthers at 6-4. 5-1 in the ACC. Pitt riding 4 consecutive ACC wins into this matchup. And it's just an improbable season. If you would have said that Pittsburgh is going to lose to North Carolina and then beat everybody else in their division, you'd be crazy.
Yeah, it would not have made sense. I would have told you were lying.
Another third down. Pickett under pressure. Breaks free. But he is not going to get the first down.
Nice job.
Chirping after the play from both teams. It's going to be 4th and about 3 from the Wake 41.
You see Justice Stranad, he's around the pile every time. But you got to give a lot of credit to Kenny Picket right there. He did not want to go down. He's staying in and say, no, we're going for it, coach. Looking at the play. What is Wake Forest going to do right here? Are they going to go a man coverage, or are they going to go with the mug technique up the middle to see if they can change it?
4th down. Pickett fires, not even close. Sternad got a hand on it. Intended for Mack. Wake will take over on downs.
This is a big win for Wake Forest defense. Huge win. Justice Stranad almost came away with the pick. If you ask him, he'll probably say, no, it wasn't catchable.
For a Pittsburgh offense that in its last 3 games has averaged over 400 yards on the ground, what do you think about them going shotgun pass on 4th and 3?
I just think it goes away from their identity and how they got here to this point.
New running back in the game, but Newman throws it. It's deflected and picked. Incredible reaction from Damar Hamlin. His 2nd interception of the season. And Jamie Newman's first as a starter.
What a play by Damar Hamlin. You talk about pass breakup, then having the awareness to know where the ball is at. Jamie Newman, he's holding the ball in, and Damar just plays the pocket of the receiver as soon as it comes in, have the awareness to see where the ball is at, comes up with the interception. That's a big-time play. That's the type of play when you want your offense to get going, you look at them and say, here, do it again. We got the ball back for it.
I mean, every week, every team stresses turnovers. They're so important for Wake as Pickett rolls left and completes it downfield. That's Jay Madore, backup tight end, fullback with the grab.
They're coming out with the wide stretch zone plays, running the play action off of it. But we have yet to see Pittsburgh run the ball downhill. Wake Forest has done a great job so far of just not allowing any creases.
Have they done that more by scheme or by aggressiveness, effort, or is it some combination? How would you say Wake has stopped the Pitt run so far?
Oh, yeah, they have done it completely by scheme. It's important. We came in and we talked to Coach Lyle Hemphill, the defensive coordinator. He said he slowed practice down, did several walkthroughs just so that the players can understand this is where you fit on certain personnel. This is where you fit if they come out of this type of motion. And that is just as good as a physical rep actually running.
Olesen for 1 on the previous play, and now on 2nd down, Pickett to throw again near the sideline. And he's ruled inbounds. What a catch. Olesen receiving downfield, and now they change the call and ruled it incomplete.
Let's see, did he get 2 feet in?
He only needs 1, but does he have possession of the football? No, that ball's out.
Let's see.
Watch the football, TK.
Did he come down? He didn't complete the catch anyway.
So it'll be 3rd down and 9 yards for Pat Narduzzi's team. They're going to take a look at this. You know, both head coaches today are from Youngstown. One from Youngstown, Ohio, the other from Youngstown, New York. You see the ball there, bounces. I don't think he can say he completed the catch.
No, he did complete the catch. I thought he had his ballerina action on with 2 feet, trying to show the toe drag swag, but he couldn't complete the catch. That's coming back.
Dwayne Haight.
Ruling on the field is confirmed. Incomplete pass. 3rd down.
Olesen unable to hang on. Would have been his 11th reception of the season. Pat Narduzzi, born in April of '66 in Ohio, about 70 miles from Pittsburgh. And then just 16 months later, in a different Youngstown, New York, right on the Canadian border in western New York, August of '67, Dave Clawson was born. These two coaches had kind of similar upbringings. Dave Clawson became a head coach first, but he was an offensive coordinator at Villanova when Narduzzi was a defensive coordinator at Rhode Island. They used to see each other on the recruiting trail. Design quarterback run, and Kenny Picket didn't get close. Cam Glenn, who's played a lot more close to the line of scrimmage lately, involved in the stop. Luke Masterson as well.
That's exactly what they do. Cameron Glenn doing a great job of being up around the ball.
That's the final play of the first quarter. Wake Forest up 3-0. Pittsburgh 0 for 4 on 3rd down in the opening 15. Here Pittsburgh's defense coming up with a huge turnover late in that first quarter.
Oh yeah, they have been very ball savvy, even though we tuned into this game and we were anticipating Pitt being able to run the football, but defensively, these guys have not only hung in there, but caused the interception. Big time play by DeMar Hamlin.
First play of the second quarter is going to be a punt, you would think, unless they try something tricky from the Wake 41-yard line. Kirk Christodoulou. Going to go over Dortch's head. It's going to land at the 5. It's going to bounce in the end zone. A tricky hop. Phil Campbell unable to down it inside the 5. That's a big play in the field position battle.
Huge play. You get an opportunity to pin your opponent inside the 5. It limits the offense as far as what they can call, how you're able to run certain plays. So they missed out on an opportunity right there.
As you saw the stats, Pittsburgh had the ball for more than 10 minutes in the first quarter, but 0 for 4 on 3rd downs. Wake the lone points on their opening drive. Newman quickly to Dortch. Makes one man miss. Now he's got a lot of room. Greg Dortch down the sideline, out of bounds at the 45-yard line. He was pushed out of bounds. Wake sideline wants a flag. 25-yard catch and run for Dortch.
Hey, and they're going to continue to get him the football. It's the numbers game on the outside, and we talked about it earlier. One-on-one opportunity with Greg Dortch. Chances are you're probably not going to get it.
Closing in on 1,000 yards in his 2018 season, as this one not going to help him in the yard department. Sean Idowu with a good stop there, but Dortch trying to do something that only 4 other Deeks have ever done. 1,000 yards in a season receiving.
Yeah, and they go to him quite often. I was surprised to see coming into this game, the next guy who was closest in catches to him, Say Surratt, he was 42 catches ahead, Greg Dortch. So it goes to show you, in times of dire need, they will go to Greg Dortch.
Dortch now at 78 grabs on the season. Surratt with 2 today has 35. Newman on 2nd down looking for Dortch, just out of the reach of the spectacular sophomore.
Jamie Newman, he wishes he could have this one back. A simple rub right on the outside, trying to get Alex Bachman to pick the defensive back. But just a plain overthrow. You got what you want. Those are the plays you have to connect on, and Jamie Newman, he knows that.
3rd down and 11. Flag is thrown. Free play. Downfield. Overthrows Washington. Oh, he had him open on the sideline.
Offside. Defense. Number 91. 5-yard penalty. Still, third down.
Wide open. He had a free play. The pressure was off. And you got to be able to connect. Scotty Washington is a big receiver, 6'5", 225 pounds. Got to be able to catch that.
If that ball is thrown where Washington can catch it in stride, it's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown.
So 3rd and 11 becomes 3rd and 6, and Pittsburgh's defense wants to talk it over. Timeout called by the Panthers. We'll take it to and Wake Forest redshirt sophomore quarterback from Graham, North Carolina, who is first place all time among Wake Forest quarterbacks in terms of height. Never been a Wake Forest starter taller than Jamie. Newman under pressure, and he's brought down, all 6'4" of them, taken down by a swarm of white jerseys. Patrick Jones II involved again in that defensive front.
Yeah, you look at the pressure up front. They brought a 6-man rush, meaning everybody was covered up on the outside. Cam Bright able to come in and make that play. And Jamie Newman, he has to do a better job of having that internal clock inside of his head to know I need to get rid of the football so I can't lose yardage for my team.
Maggio's punt is going to bounce. And it hit a Wake Forest foot just inside the 15-yard line. Takio, I think both you and I came into today thinking these offenses are rolling. We're going to see a lot of points today. So far, not so much. No, and we thought that the Pitt's offense, they were going to come in and show the integrity of what they do best down here running the football. Got a stat for it. Pitt running backs, 6 attempts, only 11 yards. And that goes against everything what we thought we were going to come in here and see. Now let's see if maybe they were on scripted plays earlier. Let's see what the play calling looks like on this drive. Olsen and Hall have not gotten it going yet today. Fake the handoff, and then it's a pitch to the inside guy. Medor gains 1. Let's check in with Stormy on the sideline.
Unselfish is a word we've heard so much in the recent weeks about the players at Pitt. And a big reason, guys, for that is a core mentality that comes from what head coach Pat Narduzzi calls the winner's manual. It's a 400 to 500-page notebook that's handed out to all of the players and staff around the program the very first day of training camp. And they talk about love, sharing, selflessness, attitude, work ethic, team building, the list goes on. It's really helped shape the mentality in a number of these players, and we hear them speak. It's really, really impressive.
They've talked so much these past 5-6 weeks about just belief and finding your identity. And it's funny, everyone you ask says there's not a tipping point when it comes to, well, what turned things around. That they never lost faith. They just started kind of connecting. And the offense and defense have developed this chemistry with one another that has produced all these wins.
Yeah, and the players talked about it. They say Coach Narduzzi, he's been consistent. He practiced what he preaches, and he preaches what he practiced. And that's the thing that continues to keep them going regardless of whatever the outcome is.
3 dangerous guys in the backfield on 3rd and 2, and it's Darren Hall who takes the plunge across the 25 to move the chains.
We talked about Darren Hall in the open. I think both backs are very similar in what they do, but the thing about Darren Hall that I really like, he's a one-cut and now I'm downhill or uphill running the football, and that's what you have to expect if you're Wake Forest defense. Understand that when you see him come into the game, chances are he's going to be a direct runner.
Entered the day with 844 yards. He's only got 8 so far today, including that 4-yard run. Kenny Picket rolling right, fires to Hall, who became a father this past August. Father of a little girl. And when Darren Hall was getting recruited to Pittsburgh, you know, he grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. His dad was a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So the Steelers and Panthers share a facility. So they're hanging out in the cafeteria, and who walks in? Mike Tomlin. And you know, he's an intimidating presence to be around. I think that made Hall commit to Pitt right on the spot.
Oh, no question. Anytime you can get that direct influence, probably so.
Oh, loose ball on the handoff. It looked like Trey Tipton wasn't ready for it. Kenny Picket dives on top to avoid disaster.
Yeah, it seems like when you look at it, it seems like Kenny Picket just kind of, he didn't put it all the way in, and then it was indecisiveness with the quarterback wide receiver exchange. And that's a simple play. That's what they do all the time. And that's why it's so shocking to see when you have these type of non-conventional plays happen.
The third down run. Picket to throw. Oh, what a pass. Arujo Lopes made the catch on his knees as Picket threw it over that second layer of defense and in front of the third layer for a big third down conversion of 29 yards.
Yeah, Kenny Picket, he was waiting on number 81, Ian Driscoll, to come open, but he wasn't open, so he just kind of expanded his vision and saw Rafael Arujo Lopes on the sideline, tight roping it with his toes. And these are the things that makes him so valuable to this offense. Most quarterbacks would have panicked, some would have run, but he stayed patient enough to let his wide receiver to come over.
So Pittsburgh across midfield into Wake territory, play action. Pickett looking for Hall, low throw, dug out. Jaquez Williams there immediately. Gain of 5.
They went for the home run play right there, but Jazir Taylor, number 24 for Wake Forest, did a nice job on the deep to back end with the coverage, not allowing the deep shot throw to happen. Kept it all in front. Wake Forest is playing very disciplined football right now, and that's very surprising to see because they wanted to come in here and understand we just want to align up correctly first and let everything happen.
It's interesting to note after that 29-yard conversion to Arujo Lopes, this Wake defense has just been gashed for big plays all year long. And a flag will stop this one. Illegal procedure from Pittsburgh up front.
Ball start. Offense. Number 87. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Carson Van Lin, who's played a little second tight end offensive lineman. Tikio, get this stat. Wake Forest has allowed 30 plays of 30 yards or more for the season. That's in 10 games. But they had allowed 28 of those in the first 8 weeks, only one each the past 2 weeks. How have you seen this Wake defense evolve and play more disciplined, simple defense?
Well, you simplify the calls, but then as a defensive coordinator, you make it easier for them to understand your alignment will take care of half of the battle, and that's what they've been doing.
Thought for a second Arujo Lopes was going to break that one, but a nice tackle by Nasir Greer, who has really come on strong. 13 tackles in the last couple games. The true freshman from Georgia.
Arujo Lopes, he just threw it out there, and it was all about numbers. All about numbers, and when you get the numbers like that, you can pick up the little hidden yardage that you really don't account for the wide receivers.
Third down and 1, power formation. Olesen has the first down, absorbed a good hit from Cam Glenn in the process.
Olesen is down. Cameron Glenn, he's filling the safety hole.
Timeout.
Olesen getting looked at. Will be between Quadri Olesen and Cameron Glenn.
Yeah, it looks like they run a simple power OG play. And Cameron Glenn comes in and puts his face mask right on his face mask. And we'll just have to wait and see what's going on and what's the problem.
Check on Olesen, see if he returns to the game as the handoff goes to Malik Carter, the true freshman, who surprised everyone in the Pitt program, made his debut against Duke with an absurd 137 yards on just 7 carries. Only carried the ball a couple times since then, though. Pat Narduzzi said, we'll figure out in the first quarter today whether Carter's going to be a big part of the game plan or a little part of the game plan. We saw him out there in one of the opening drives, so clearly that they want to get him involved.
Listen, if I'm them, Khalid Carter is going to be a part of my game plan. That's the type of player that he is, very electric. You saw him made one guy miss right there to get extra yards.
Oh, great penetration. Zeke Rodney. Tackle for loss. Darren Hall went nowhere.
Zeke Rodney playing with his hand, went with the backdoor technique around the center. And most defensive line coaches would tell their defensive linemen never go backdoor. But Zeke Rodney, he probably would go back and tell his coach, I saw something. And his coach would look at him and say, all right, don't get slipped.
For a Wake Forest defense that has had trials and tribulations, Zeke Rodney's had a fine senior season, and he's playing with the extra emotion of senior day. And a flag pre-snap.
Ball start. Offense. Number 82. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Pittsburgh 2 for 2 on third down on this drive, but this one just got tougher.
Yeah, it just got tougher. And you know, when you look at this team, the MO of this football team, they're not going to turn the football over. They're not going to have a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Right now, I remember the first drive of the game, 2 penalties, another penalty right there. So it's putting them in a position to where now you have a third down and 13, and you got to be able to make a play. What play do you have in the book for it?
What play do you have on 3rd and 13? What a catch! Maurice French inside the 5 hauls it in. You need someone to make a spectacular play, and Maurice French was the guy.
That's the play you call on 3rd and 13 when you need a play. Makes the one-handed catch. This is the second week in a row that he's been able to do it. Maurice, he brings a lot of things to the table when it comes to performance, but he is starting to become that clutch town guy when they need a big play.
31 yards on the pass to French. Kenny Picket now 6 for 6 on this drive. And a good goal line stand from the Wake defense. Kenny Picket on the keeper, brought down by Sternad. On 2nd and goal, we take a look at the red zone, brought to you by CPI Security. Just like coaches harp on turnovers, they harp on getting touchdowns instead of field goals.
Yeah, and I remember this Wake Forest last week. They had 2 attempts early against them.
Wake Forest, their first time out of the half.
Playing against North Carolina State, and they walked away with only 3 points both times.
Glenn has him on the sideline. He was standing on the field in the vicinity of the group huddle during the timeout. His helmet on presumably means he's coming back in. George Aston in front of Darren Hall. From the 3, it's Hall into the end zone, untouched. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
That's the Pitt football we're looking for. They came back. Bryce Hargrove, the right guard, he came around and pulled with George Aston, and they just sealed everybody inside and made it easier to walk in for the touchdown.
Great lead block from Aston. And now it's Alex Kessman. And it was blocked. So it's a 3-point game. And you wonder how that will impact things going forward. Alex Kessman had been 34 of 35 on point-after tries on the season, but it's Boogie Basham rising up, the 6'5" sophomore. Comes up with a block, but it's a touchdown from Darren Hall that takes Pitt from 3 down to 3 up in the 2nd quarter. Greg Dortch trying to become the 5th man on that list. I'll give you a minute or two to think about it. Who are the great receivers in Wake Forest history?
Oh, I'm all over this one.
Are you?
But
Good.
I'm going to save it. I'll save it.
Let folks think about it, marinate a little bit. Wake Forest has gotten ACC road wins at Louisville and at NC State. Trying to get an ACC home win. And their final opportunity to do so, Cade Carney on the first down carry picks up 4.
If I'm Wake Forest right now, I'm speeding up the tempo, trying to get Cade Carney more involved into what they're doing. Gain 4 yards on the first play. Continue to get that running game going.
Carney, 7 carries, 22 yards so far. Here's his 8th carry. And he breaks a couple tackles very close to the marker. They're going to spot it right on that 35. That'll move the chains.
I know Matt Colburn, he gets a lot of headlines, but Cade Carney is the type of running back. He wants to look you up, and he is going to give you the business when you meet him.
Hard guy to bring down. Advance, North Carolina. Played with Sam Hartman at Davidson Day. Of course, Sam Hartman got injured in the Syracuse game, out for the year. Jamie Newman taking over, and he hits his tight end Chapman, but it dislodged on the contact. Great defense, Dane Jackson in there on the coverage.
I tell you what, Jamie Newman, he has a rocket, but he made the right read. He tried to hold that free safety off by looking to the left, came back to the right. But Brandon Chapman, he was not able to hold on to the football.
Chapman only 8 catches in 10 games on the season. Kind of surprised they haven't gone to Jack Frutenthal yet today. Frutenthal, the game-winning touchdown against NC State 9 days ago. And now on 2nd and 10, Newman under pressure. Bachman came back to that ball. It's a good thing he did. Otherwise, Sean Adowu might have had the pick.
And that's what they teach their wide receivers. Jamie Newman holding the safety down the middle, came back and threw it blind, meaning not seeing who was over there. Alex Bachman came back to that ball. And that's what receivers are supposed to do from day one when you learn how to run routes.
2nd catch for Bachman. 3rd and short. Bachman again breaks a tackle. First down into Pittsburgh territory.
Nice throw, nice catch. And what I'm seeing here, Wake is starting to allow Jamie Newman to sit back, find that one-on-one coverage, and then throw it out there and let his receivers challenge their defensive backs.
Needed 2, they got 14. Throw to the far side of the field, looking for Dortch. Little underthrown, incomplete with Hamlin out there in the coverage.
DeMar Hamlin, he was all over that play, but Jamie Newman, he waited a little too long to throw it to Dortch. Hamlin undercut it. Good for him that he threw it low.
Newman's now 8 of 15, 91 yards. Only completed passes to 3 receivers. Dave Clawson, his 5th season at Wake, his 61st game today as the coach of the Deacs. Newman on 2nd down, throws it off the hands of Carney. I think a Chapman, but there's a flag in. It's going to go against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pass interference. Defense, number 20. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
That's Pittsburgh's 6th penalty of the game. Wake has none.
Yeah, Dennis Briggs looked like he got there a little early. I think they actually called him for his hand around the backside of the tight end.
Hear the displeasure from some of the Pittsburgh fans who have made the trip down. Saw a lot of Pitt fans in the parking lots before the game. Their first opportunity to come to a game at Wake Forest. And again, looking for Chapman. He's incomplete.
Yeah, Chapman just dropped that one. You got to be able to catch that. Elias Reynolds, he was defending. But the more and more I look at this Wake Forest offense, it seems to me Warren Verzero, he's feeling more comfortable with Jamie Newman just having getting the plays from the sideline, not tempoing, but just having an opportunity to find the right matchup he wants.
Frudenthal's back in the game. Chapman to the sideline. And the throw looking for Dortch. Right at the marker. Fourth catch for Dortch. First down, Wake Forest.
Look at what makes Dortch so good. He comes in and he just sticks that foot in the ground to create that separation.
Now looking deep. Bachman wide open. Blown coverage. Touchdown. Demon Deacons. Newman found him. And Wake Forest retakes the lead.
Alex Bachman with another touchdown. Greg Dortch set that play up, and we're gonna show you. I'm gonna show you why in a second.
Take a look at the replay in a moment. Wake's first touchdown of the day. Can Nick Skiba tack on the extra point? Yes, sir. Buck 32 to play in this first half. Alex Bachman had the great catch when he was being draped by a defender in the fourth quarter last week. This time there was no defender at all nearby. How did it happen?
Well, look at Dortch right here. They're going to fake the pump screen out here as the ball goes. But Bachman, he's just going to run a seam route. And when we clear it, watch the attention that all the guys come to Dortch. He is supposed to be playing the deep third, number 11, Dane Jackson. He jumped up, he took the cheese, and when you take the cheese, touchdown comes right behind you.
3 catches for 50 yards on the drive for Alex Bachman. 28 yards on the touchdown throw from Newman.
But it goes to show you how much attention that Greg Dortch demands, even when he's not trying to get it. He's like a pretty girl. She can walk around all day, don't even try to get any attention, but guys are going to get that attention to her.
He'll sit. He'll sit. Oh, Pittsburgh's fortunate. That rolled into the end zone. Take a knee from there. Let's revisit the Aflac trivia question. The 4 players in Wake Forest history with 1,000 receiving yards in a single season. Chris Givens, 1,300 yards in 2011. Ricky Prohl, the great standout in the NFL. Kenny Moore from the last Wake championship, and then Wayne Baumgartner. And I understand Kenny Moore's down on the sideline with Stormy.
Yes, sir. We have the great ACC Wake Forest wide receiver with me right here. I'm sure you remember making catches like Alex Bachman did in the end zone just there.
Oh, yeah. I definitely remember those times. It was good times back in the day, making big plays for the team. So he's a great player. He's making a big play for the offense, which we needed. So hopefully they can keep it going.
I know this is your 3rd Wake Forest game this season. How nice is it to be so close in Charlotte and to be able to come back to the old stomping grounds?
Well, it's very nice. Straight up 85 to 52, or so get up here, come see the Deeks play. It's only an hour away, so it's always good. It's like my 3rd game this year, so hopefully we can keep the good momentum going and get the wins for the city. It was good to come back and show love.
Having it be senior day, does that bring back any emotions for you?
Yeah, definitely does. I still remember coming out with my mom and dad out here, showing love and just proud of their son for not only playing football but graduating. So it was cool. It was nice, and it's the last time for a lot of these guys to play on this field, so it's a special moment.
And lastly, I hear you're up to something a little bit different in your personal life now. No longer football, but you've got a golf mobile company. Can you explain that a little bit?
Mobile golf company. It's called Go T-Box. Follow us on Instagram. So since I can't have the wear and tear of football anymore, I got to find some way to take my time and be competitive. So we started a mobile golf company that we're doing like different venues, offices and stuff like that. You come and hit the golf simulator, play close to the pin, longest drive. So it's really cool for a lot of people.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Have to check it out. Thanks for the time, Kenny.
Thank you so much.
Stormy, Kenny, appreciate it. That guy was a legend for Jim Grobe in the mid-2000s. He was a great receiver, and then all the running backs got hurt, so they put Kenny Moore at running back, and he helped lead him to an ACC championship. And meanwhile, we got a big 3rd and 1 coming up. with 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock after a 5-yard pass to French and a short 4-yard pass to Darren Hall. Big play here, 3rd and 1.
Yeah, 3rd and 1. You got to keep in mind, Wake is going to get the ball in the second half. So Pitt really wants to convert on this 3rd down, possibly get points, but they do not want to give the ball back to Wake before this half is up.
From the shotgun, it's Paul, 1st down, Pittsburgh. Yarberry brings him down at the 38. Clock stops with 57 to allow the chains to move. Pitt has 1 timeout remaining. First down's even.
Justice Grenade, he does a nice job of just creating confusion up front. He's been doing a good job stopping the running game today.
They completed it to Mack, but he was out of bounds when he caught it, so it's an incomplete pass. And it'll be 2nd and 10. Clock stops with 43 seconds to go in the half. This Pitt offense, they've had a few explosive plays, but certainly nothing like last week when they led 31-7 at the half, put up 52 on the Hokies.
You talked about the Wake defense cutting back on their explosive plays happening to them. Pitt's offense, 39 explosive plays in 7 games. 39 the last 3 games.
Pickett steps up to run. There's a flag on the field as Pickett takes it across midfield to the Wake 49. We'll check the marker. Saw Zeke Rodney applauding.
Holding. Offense. Number 67. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
This is a drive killer.
Zeke Rodney right there. Almost got to the quarterback. He was complaining that he was being held, and I guess the official saw it.
Another flag was just thrown on the Pittsburgh huddle.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense. Number 67.
Wow.
Half the distance to the goal. Still. 2nd down.
Dwayne Haight.
67's first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game.
Had heard enough.
Yeah.
Jimmy Morrissey, the sophomore center, one of the leaders of this unit. That's a veteran-laden squad.
I guess he felt like that call was very questionable. Jimmy Morrissey went back, and he was just drawing back and forth to him. He must have said something to him that he didn't like.
One of the magic words. So now Pittsburgh has the ball spotted at the 14. They need to get to the 48 for a 1st down. It's 2nd and 34 for Kenny Picket. Almost 3rd and 40. He goes down in the backfield. It's going to be 3rd and 37. And now I believe Wake Forest is taking a timeout.
Cameron Glenn coming on the outside, and this is what he did last week against North Carolina State. People talk about this defense looks totally different, and that's the reason why you bring your safety out of from up top in the middle of the field, bring him down in the box, blitz him on the mismatches with the running backs, and that is where he has been winning over the past 2 weeks.
26 seconds to go. Timeout on the field. The difference in the game right now, Takeo. Greatness made here, presented by Synovus. They fall for the Dorsch. They took the cookie, and Bachman wide open deep.
Yeah, and give a lot of credit to their offensive coordinator, Warren Braziero, because he knew who is the guy that you're going to all the time. So he went ahead and broke a tendency, and that made it that much easier for Alex Bachman to be able to score.
What do you have in the playbook for 3rd and 37?
I got breaking news. You don't have a play for 3rd and 37. You get what you can get so you can punt the ball effectively.
They're going to run the ball with Paul. I've seen him run for 75 yards recently, but not here. And Wake will take its final timeout.
And that's a nice... Nice defensive series for Wake Forest. Didn't get flustered. Seems like to me they were about to let Pitt continue to drive, but with the penalty by Jimmy Morrissey, their center, that pushed them back even further. So now they have an opportunity to go in and have feeling good about what they've done so far in the first half.
I got a feeling Pat Narduzzi is going to say something to his team about the penalties at halftime. 8 penalties for 58 yards. And they've been drive killers, and it set the tone for the game on their very first offensive play.
Yeah, not crucial third down drive killers, but in the aspect of you want to come out and gain confidence early on a play and have positive yards. They have not been able to do that, especially on their first drive of the game.
That's over Dortch's head. A great kick from Kirk Christodoulou. Line of scrimmage was the 25-yard line, meaning that's a 72-yard punt for Kirk Christodoulou, beating his season long by 16 yards. And it took plenty of time off the clock. Wake from its own 3 with 7 seconds to go. Probably just going to sit on it. Wake Forest up by 4. Will receive the ball to start the second half. You see the numbers when leading at halftime. Deeks on senior day, got to be feeling cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic, knowing that they haven't been able to get into a rhythm either on their side of the football. So this game is going to be a game of adjustments going in at halftime. I anticipate Pitt going in, trying to get their mentality back, and also Wake Forest just trying to capitalize on their plays.
Pittsburgh told us during the week, everyone plays this differently from what we see on film. We've never had to play Wake Forest before. We don't know how they're going to match up to us. Now they've got some time to regroup and talk about it. A Pittsburgh team that's trying to clinch a spot in the ACC championship game, trailing Wake Forest by 4 after 30 minutes of football here today. Let's go down to Squibber. It rolls out of bounds. The 9th penalty of the game comes with no time off the clock in the third quarter. And there's a little physicality in the sidelines that Dwayne Haight runs in to break up.
Hey, good job, Steve. Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
That's inexplicable.
Talk about he comes out, talked about, hey, we need to contain the penalties and everything. They came out with another, but look at Jamie Newman. He's coming out. I'm curious to see what are they going to craft up, because he did a nice job of just finding the one-on-one, making plays happen in the first half.
Gives it to Carney, one of those delayed RPO handoffs. And Carney still crawling up to the 40-yard line in the grasp of Sean Adohu. 3-year starter, former walk-on for Pittsburgh. This Pittsburgh linebacking core has got 2 walk-ons on the outside. Elijah Zeiss, originally a receiver, has passed the torch. Incomplete. No signal yet, though, and now finally a signal. For a second, it looked like they might be calling that a fumble. Got Zeiss on one side. You got Sean Ado, who is a walk-on safety on the other side. And in the middle, no more Quentin Virginis. And they've been able to play pretty good defensively without him and Elias Reynolds in. But today, need some plays, and there's one from the Pitt defense. No flag on the field intended for Surratt. Gonna be 4th down.
They talked about Dean Jackson early in the week. Defensive coordinator Randy Bates felt very comfortable with knowing what he could do, even though he was on the opposite sideline. Great pass breakup to stop that momentum by Wake Forest.
That's a tough couple of plays for Dave Clawson's team. You get the ball at the 35, you get 5 yards on first down, and then 2 plays later you're punting, and you don't get any points on the first drive of the second half, assuming Maggio kicks it, which he does. Rujo Lopes moving forward. That ball almost hit a Pitt Panther as it landed. Pitt will have it at the 26-yard line. 34-yard punt from Maggio. You look at just the numbers. Kenny Picket in that first half, 14 of 18, 147. You think Pitt's got to be up by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, and you look at how they control time of possession, but to only walk away with 6 points is disappointing in their eyes. But this is the type of football they like to play. Hard-nosed, tough, close games to where it can come down to where they can run the football, take time off the clock, and let Kenny Picket have his choice when it's time.
We didn't see Quadriolison since the collision with Cameron Glenn, but he's out here now with the football, trying to get around the edge. But he's met by Justin Sternad as a flag flies.
Justin Sternad is doing a nice job today, going sideline to sideline, keeping the big play from happening.
Holding. Offense. Number 6. 10-yard penalty. First down.
There's the 9th Pittsburgh penalty. Wake Forest has not been penalized once.
Yeah, and he just, Aaron Matthews, he just grabs a fistful of jersey and falls back and holds on for dear life, and the officials caught him. There's another penalty.
Coaches have raved about the job Aaron Matthews has done, saying he's stood out as wow on film for his blocks last week against Virginia Tech. First and long, completed outside to French. There were a couple plays early in the first half to Keogh where Pittsburgh receivers got behind Wake Forest defensive players, and for the most part, Wake's kept the Panthers in front of them, which is clearly their goal.
Yeah, it is, and that happened early in the game, and I truly think Wake Forest came out here defensively thinking, these guys are going to run the football, we need to stack the box, and so Pitt was trying to take advantage of the one-on-one, but they just couldn't connect.
Gained 8 yards on the pass to French, so on second down, Picket swarmed again, down to the backfield for a loss.
Boogie Basham comes off the end, disrupts the timing, and Justin Sternad does a nice job of just cleaning up on the loose ends. Boogie Basham stops it, and these guys are playing great team defense today, stopping the run. And the thing about it, Evan, they're putting this football team in long yardage situations on 3rd and 11 right now.
Play clock at 14 as the Panthers break the huddle. A tumultuous year for the Wake D. This would be a huge third down stop. They need 11. Pickett fires. Incomplete. He was looking for Taysir Mack. He's saying Bassey in the coverage.
He's saying Bassey, he knew it. He knew the play was coming, but look how he stuck his left hand in, played the pocket where the ball was going to come, and he was able to get the PBU, pass breakup.
One thing to note about the Wake defense, they're without Amari Henderson today, not suited up for the Deacons. He's played 9 games this year, starting corner, at 14 tackles last week, so Bassey with even more responsibility. As Christodoulou's punt again soars over George's heads, bounces down the sideline. Another great punt. But going forward uncertain. Dave Clawson's team trying to get to a bowl for the 3rd consecutive year. They haven't done that but once in program history. After the 62-yard punt from Christodoulou, Wake Forest goes backwards. And a good start to the drive for the Pittsburgh defense led by Pat Tennant. The offensive line came into today thinking about 500 yards on the ground. They don't have 60 yet. And that completion will be a first down to Aaron Matthews. Only had 1 catch in his last 3 games, but he hauls this one in to move the chains for the Panthers.
Yeah, they ran a simple play-action curl route with Aaron Matthews. Aaron Matthews does a nice job of just sitting down in the zone. He's mad at himself because he wishes he could have caught it standing up. He would have had plenty of room to run.
In the NFL, you got to be down by contact. You can get up and run in a play like that, but in college, you are down as soon as your knee or elbow hits. First down for the Panthers at their own 46. Kenny Picket, play action, fakes it to Hall. Great pressure, down he goes. Willie Yarberry and Boogie Basham, both in the backfield for the Deacon defense.
Essayne Bassey, he's going to come in on this side over here on the blitz once we run it. And why I love this call is because they had no idea. This is a tendency play that Lyle Hemphill caught in film study. And as a defensive coordinator, when you call these type of blitzes at the right time versus a play action, these are the results that you get.
It's a great spot by you on Bassey coming from the edge. Doesn't get credit for any portion of the sack, but he got there first, no question. as they completed outside to Arujo Lopes. Cam Glenn, who had his 250th career tackle today, pushed him out of bounds. And here comes another big 3rd and long. They need 12 yards.
3rd and 12. What play do you have in the playbook for a 3rd and 12? In between the 40s, number one, I'm thinking about some type of trickery, okay? And number two, find a way to make a play, whether or not if it's from the screen game.
Picket fires right, open man, shy of the sticks, diving for the marker. Trey Tipton is going to be spotted a yard shy of the first down. And if you've run the ball for over 400 yards a game the last 3 weeks and you got this 4th and 1, I'd be shocked if the punt team came onto the field.
Yeah, and let's give kudos to Wake Forest defense. They are playing smart football. Now they have a 4th and 1. Let's see what Coach Lyle Hemphill cooks up in the kitchen and serve to his defense to see can they stop him on 4th down.
Pittsburgh 0 for 1 on 4th down today. Olesen takes it right at the sticks. He's met, but he muscles ahead. First down, Pittsburgh. You can see the power sometimes from Olesen, and sometimes they'll showcase the speed. This is pure strength.
Yeah, you say this is speed to power right here. He put his head down. Nice job. I want to say that's Cameron Glenn, number 2. I really like him as a football player because he plays all around the field. He kind of reminds me a little bit, just the movement-wise, of how Troy Polamalu, the great safety that came out of Pittsburgh.
High praise, another guy who's wore black and gold for a long time. Olesen tried to cut it back. Justin Sternad, his instincts as a linebacker, seems like he's always tracking the football.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from his background of coming out of the secondary. And when you have players like that, they have a tendency to see the big picture versus just seeing what's exactly in front of him. That's what allows him to be able to make so many plays and be around the football.
2nd and 7 for Kenneth Shane Pickett. 3 sports star in middle school, gave up basketball after his 8th grade year to focus on football. Pickett looking, has Mack wide open. This is a defensive breakdown, and Mack takes it all the way down to the Wake Forest 10 before Greer shoulders him out of bounds.
He came all the way from the opposite side of the field. And the thing about it, Wake Forest, whenever they get play action, I'm noticing their linebackers staying up in the gut, rushing the quarterback. And number 11, Yashir Mack, he did a nice job of seeing the open zone coming across, voided where the linebackers voided that spot.
Looking to the red zone, brought to you by CPI Security. They spot it at the 9. 1st and goal. It's Aston trying to carry tacklers. Pickett gives him a push from behind. How about your quarterback getting involved? Aston down to about the 6.
I tell you what, Jaquez Williams, sophomore linebacker out of Hinesville, Georgia. He's holding on for dear life. He had to drop out the anchor because George Aston, he was about to give him the business. Nice job. Nice job of gang tackle.
Last week, Aston carried it one time for a 1-yard touchdown. Remember, he had 10 touchdowns a couple years ago, then just had an injury-plagued 2017. He's been out there all 11 games this year. This is a direct snap to Olesen. And he'll take it inside the 5. And it'll be 3rd and goal.
Came out in a wildcat formation. Another way to not only get the formation that you want and try to stun the defense with the lineman, but when you have the quarterback, which in this case was Kadri Olesen, it provides another gap, which makes it harder for the defensive side to be able to account for that gap when guys are pulling.
Oftentimes, football games come down to a few plays. It feels like this could be one of them right here. 3rd and goal from the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Arujo Lopes beat a couple defenders to the corner, and Pitt retakes the lead.
Arujo Lopes came from the inside, hit him with the 7 route, and he just really ran away from the coverage. And I don't know whether or not if that was a breakdown on the back end, but he should not have been that wide open.
4th touchdown catch of the year for Arujo Lopes. And now let's see if Kessman, who is 0 for 1 on PATs today, had one blocked by Basham earlier. We saw number 18 Basham leap, but the kick is high enough and through. And it's 13-10 Pittsburgh. Kenny Picket marches the Panthers. Remaining in the 3rd quarter, Pittsburgh leading 13-10. Rafael Arujo Lopes, the 4-yard touchdown catch. 3rd time today Pittsburgh has held the ball on a drive for more than 5 minutes. Dominating time of possession, 29.5 minutes to 11.5 minutes. Let's take a look, though, at this touchdown. Picket to Arujo Lopes. This team that relies so much on the run goes to the air.
Arujo Lopes, he's located in the slot right here, but look at the 2 defenders, what this coverage puts stress on. The safety in the corner. As we roll the play, you will see both defensive backs, the corners jumps the underneath, and the safety is just out-leveraged.
Right.
He's out-leveraged, so it's hard for him to be able to make that play, which the quarterback, Kenny Picket, knew that's the weakness of that coverage. Nice job of recognizing that.
Fake it to Dortch again. This time Pitt's ready for it. Newman has nowhere to go. Ripped down to the backfield by Jones, who's been all over the place today.
Yeah, this was a coverage sack right here. Patrick Jones comes around, beat the offensive tackle. Jamie Newman has to understand and do a better job of having that internal clock inside of his head, because he was supposed to get that ball out of his hands. He should not have taken the sack right there.
5-yard loss, 2nd and 15. Jamie Newman is battling with Sam Hartman in training camp to be the starter after Kendall Hinton got suspended. Complete it to the outside. Scotty Washington gains 10 yards, sets up a 3rd and 5. And it's interesting, Newman in position to be the starter, but he got hurt in the final scrimmage.
Scotty Washington did a nice job of just pushing up the field, creating a little space.
And that throw too high for Jack Frudenthal. He would have had the first down play there.
You were calling for Jack Frudenthal early in the game. Jack, he's just got an opportunity, dropped the ball. But this drive should have continued to go. And that's the problem when you look at Wake Forest offense in the first half. They just didn't have any sustainability in their drives, no continuity in their calls because of that.
Fourth and 5, Maggio, the punter, back out there. Entered today with exactly 200 punts in his career. Boots this one. Fair catch called for and made.
Able to spread the football around. And, hey, look, let's face it, they're not going to come out here and continue to run the ball over and over again as far as what we anticipated, but they got a lot of coverage and first downs through the air. Kenny Picket, 20 for 25.
Only threw the ball 25 times the last 2 weeks combined. Here's a pretty good run. Darren Hall brought down by Cam Glenn. Pickett 20 of 25 throwing the ball. Down on the field, Stormy has more.
And it's just his first season as the full-time starter. Coaches absolutely love his demeanor and the way he's learned to lead this entire team. He even said earlier this week, things are really just starting to click for him right now. Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson acknowledged yesterday as well that he's consistently gotten better. You can see it on the tape, called him a really good football player. 221 yards and a score today.
Yeah, Pat Narduzzi said, look, he hasn't had a bad game. They're games where we've played poorly, but it hasn't been Pickett's fault why we've lost some games. Zeke Rodney makes the stop on the short run.
You can't say enough about Zeke Rodney, Willie Yarberry, doing a nice job of defending the counter OG runs right up the middle. These guys are holding the double team, splitting the double teams. And that's the reason why they're making so many plays up front.
You mentioned Rodney and Yarberry, those interior defensive linemen usually don't get the glory, but both coaching staffs were trying to hype their guys. Rodney and Yarberry for Wake, Roy and Watts for Pitt. Pickett fires deep, and he overthrows French. Jasir Taylor in the coverage. It'll be 3rd down. Talked about when those interior defensive linemen are playing well, they can make the linebackers look pretty good.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And when they are playing well, most of the times it means they're not going to get a pass rush because they're anticipating run. But nice job by Jasir Taylor not being fooled on the play action. And that's what you want as a corner. You know, in the pros, we say you don't get paid to tackle, you get paid to cover. Jasir, nice attention to detail.
One point in this game, Pitt was 0 for 4 on 3rd downs. They're 6 of their last 9, making 7 of 10. It's downfield to Mack, and he will not be tackled. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. On a 3rd and 10, it's a 63-yard catch and run. And finally, the Panthers have some separation. Narduzzi said last week to Taysir Mack, the Indiana transfer, as healthy as he's been all season. He's got to keep him that way.
Obviously, he's a playmaker. But Kenny Picket, I really liked what he did before the play, and I cannot wait to show you guys. He saw when the coverage was rolled, meaning I'll find my guy to where it's a one-on-one coverage, and I'll have more space to be able to do this. On this backside over here, he knew he had one-on-one, and when we roll it, everybody on the right side of the field, see how all the defensive backs are going. Pickett knew that. He came right back down the middle to let Taysir Mack come up with a huge touchdown.
Taysir Mack's first score as a Panther. And 3 touchdowns last year for the Indiana Hoosiers, where he played in 2016 for Sean Watson, who was then the offensive coordinator for Indiana, came to Pittsburgh last year. Mack followed. And now Pittsburgh has a 10-point lead, and Wake Forest has a turning point possession in their pursuit of a 6th victory.
Huge play for Pitt. Now they're turning the tides on Wake Forest. The pressure will start to build now. 3rd quarter, 1 minute and 14 seconds left. It's imperative that Wake Forest drives the football down the field, gain some confidence as far as who they're going to be this second half going into the 4th quarter.
20-year-old Jamie Newman will be 21 in December. Fakes the handoff, takes it up the middle himself. Into the arms of Rashad Wheeler. Rashad Wheeler will turn 21 on December 1st, a day where the Panthers hope they're playing the Clemson Tigers for an ACC championship. Oh, great defense there. Dortch met immediately by Jackson. And Dortch slow to get up.
Yeah, play up the middle, play action. Dane Jackson, he comes and he lays the lumber, and his teammates are celebrating around him. Dortch is grabbing something in his lower extremity.
Obviously, he's a critical piece for Wake. How about Dane Jackson, 4th-year junior? The coaches talked about how at Wake Forest, he's going to line up on the far sideline because they trust him so much more. With the pace that Wake Forest runs, you can leave a guy like Jackson on an island and trust that he'll get the job done.
What does that tell you? It tells you that, number one, I'm very confident of what he knows, and number two, his playmaking ability. He's first in the ACC in forced fumbles with 4, third national. So this guy is a ball hawk, and he'll find a way to make plays.
Jamie Newman started 7 of 13. Since he's just 3 of 11, but that's a critical completion there, finding Brandon Chapman, the backup tight end, to move the chains at the 37-yard line.
That was almost the same play as last week that they scored on to be able to win that North Carolina State football game. Tight end coming up over the middle, finding the soft spot when it's his own, first down.
Truly incredible comeback for the Deacons last week. Newman pump fakes, downfield, he's got Chapman again into Pittsburgh territory.
Now you're starting to see Pitt's defense. They want to make Jamie Newman uncomfortable. They blitzed everybody up the middle. Jamie knew he had a little time to throw the ball, got the completion out, first down.
Barely had even started the play clock by the time Wake snapped the ball, and how about that run? Cade Carney throwing the shoulder pad into the backer.
Cade Carney, we talked about him. He will look you up. Even though Matt Coburn is out, Cade Carney is the guy. He is the tempo setter. He will do everything to get it back on track, and they love it.
3 down, 1 to go. Pittsburgh won that third quarter, 14-zip. Wake Forest on the mark. Teams a week ago. Only one team can celebrate today. First play of the fourth quarter, a Cade Carney run to move the chains. Pat Narduzzi's team, with a win or a Virginia loss, clinch the Coastal Division title, a spot in the ACC championship game against Clemson. Be careful what you wish for, by the way. For Wake Forest, Dave Clawson trying to become bowl eligible for the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah, and this is huge. They know they can't do that unless they come out of here with the win today.
Big hole, Cade Carney. Down inside the 10.
Jamie Newman is doing a fabulous job of running the RPO. The previous play before, he held it in through the soft spot when he saw the blitz. That time they stayed back. He had numbers, gave it to Cade Carney.
Carney got 15 there. This play from the 9-yard line will take it one more down to the 8. Quick note about the first 3 quarters in this game. Pittsburgh held the ball for at least 10 minutes in each of the first 3 quarters. Wake hasn't had a quarter in this game where they've had 5 minutes of time of possession.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we talked about coming out of halftime. You have to be happy about that if you were Wake Forest, but now they need to turn these time of possessions into touchdowns.
Direct snap to Carney, up the middle, reaching for the goal line, but he's down at the 1.
That was their version of Wildcat, Evan. Putting Cade Carney at quarterback, trying to create another way to be able to make plays.
Check out Idowu saving the touchdown.
Yeah, that was a great tackle out. Idowu, great tackle.
Newman flanked by Carney. 3rd and goal from the 1. Carney did not get there. And this brings up a fascinating decision. A field goal does get you within 1 possession, but it's a demoralizing field goal if you have to kick it because you're at the 1-yard line. They spotted at the 2 after the 3rd down loss.
I say you go for it. You don't have that. Listen, you're so late in the season that you need to create your own type of momentum. They drove the football field, drove the ball all the way down to the football field. 11 plays, 73 yards to this point right now.
Done it quickly in 74 seconds, but the kicker, Nick Skiba, is on. And you can understand wanting to make this a 1-score game. Skiba punches it through. But it feels like a victory for the Pitt defense.
It was a victory for Pitt's defense. Kudos to Wake Forest for coming out with the field goal.
Darren Ford, the grad student transfer from Division III Hope College in Holland, Michigan. One of a couple of graduate school kickers that came to Wake Forest this year. Honored today on senior day before the game. Saw Maurice French back, ready to return. The business end of this football game to Keo Spikes. Wake Forest and Pittsburgh, first ever meeting. coming out of the end zone. And it wasn't worth it. Arujo Lopes will start at the 22-yard line. Take a look at these Coastal Division standings. Coastal chaos is the common phrase. Pittsburgh with wins over Virginia, Georgia Tech, Duke, and Virginia Tech. They got Miami next week.
Yeah, and
they lost to North Carolina, if you can believe that.
And that doesn't make sense at all, but it really goes to show you where they come from as a team, buying into what Coach Narduzzi has been talking about, and it's very evident in his play in the second half of what they're displaying.
Malik Carter, a true freshman in motion. They pitch it to him. Trying to go around the left edge, breaks a tackle of Basham, and Chuck Wade Jr. brings him down out across the 30. A gain of 8.5, 9 yards.
If you're Pitt right now on this drive, you want to be methodical. Look at them right now as you take a look at their huddle. Guys are not necessarily in a high urgency method to be able to get a line. They're milking the clock. They know if we can continue to get first downs, this will put this ball game exactly where we want to be.
Aside from a touchdown, I'm not sure coaches enjoy a 9-yard gain on 1st and 10 more than any other play. Opens up the toolbox on 2nd down, and they dish it out to Arujo Lopes, who's out of bounds at the 40-yard line. 18 yards on a couple quick plays to move the chains for the Pitt offense.
Yeah, nice block with Trey Tipton right there, the wide receiver. He knew Arujo Lopes was coming behind him. Nice job of being able to wall off the defensive back to allow Arujo Lopes to get positive yards.
How about the game Kenny Picket has played? He's already got a career high, both completions and yards. He's 7 yards away from 300 with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. A give to Olesen. And Cameron Glenn may have saved a touchdown with a shoestring tackle.
Yeah, and that almost looked like a la last week when you look at Quadri Olesen.
When he gets going, it feels like he can be really hard to stop.
No, he is hard to stop, 225 pounds. That's one thing that makes it hard to stop. And then you look at on the back end, going up against defensive backs, trying to hit a 230-pound back. It's just not going to happen.
97-yard touchdown last week, the longest play from scrimmage in Pittsburgh history. Play action, Pickett, deep downfield, looking to French. He wasn't open. And Jasir Taylor looked like the intended target.
They're looking for that one-on-one. Kenny Pickett, play action pass in the middle of the field, normally where you take shots. Jasir Taylor playing his responsibility, the deep quarter side on that side, and he was able to come down with a pass defense.
All right, 3rd and short. Pittsburgh 7 of 14 on 3rd downs today. These are the type of yards that championship teams get. Olesen, 1st down. He's running with so much confidence.
Yeah, and that goes back to your point that you just talked about a few seconds ago. Olesen, they run a power OG, and he comes on the outside. No DB is going to stop him. It is what it is. And so they like the numbers when they get in these situations, short yardage, 3rd down, 1 to 2 yards. High percentage that they would get the 1st down.
Back to the ground again. This time Darren Hall scampers to the 40. The relationship, Takeo, that these two guys have had. Olesen's first year playing was as a redshirt freshman. Darren Hall played that year as a true freshman. They both were expecting to back up James Conner, but he had the injury and then obviously the cancer. And Olesen ran for 1,000 yards as a redshirt freshman. Didn't do it again as a sophomore or junior. Last year, the coaches have raved about what Olesen did, kind of taking the George Aston halfback role while he let Darren Hall shine. And just those two guys have such a love and respect for one another. Oh, goodness. There's a flag flying as Malik Carter got ripped down by his face mask. And I don't think anyone's going to argue this call on the Wake Forest sideline.
Such a violent tackle just then.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 18. 15-yard penalty, first down.
15-yarder.
Boogie Basham, he's coming around. I'm assuming he was trying to grab his jersey, but he grabbed the face mask and completely just turned the helmet all the way around.
Sternad kind of hit him with the helmet too to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Pitt goes from a third down and short to a first down and 10. All the way at the Wake Forest 23-yard line. And the Panthers are in no hurry at all. Hall in the backfield. Darren Hall. You see the push from the offensive line. This is what Pittsburgh does every week. Try to wear the opponent's front down. And these are the yards in the fourth quarter that these guys up front get so proud of.
Yeah, that's the MO. That's what they like to do. They're actually taking Darren Hall out right now to bring in another offensive lineman, Bryce Hargrove. So the look that they're going to portray, straight power run, but I would not be shocked. Oh, actually, it's a wildcat formation.
Carson Van Lin is out there on the line as well, and it's Olesen who's going to take the snap. He's got French in motion. Olesen fakes the give, spins down to the 15-yard line, lunges to the 14. Another 9-yard gain. There's an injury behind the play. Luke Masterson shaken up for Wake Forest. Timeout on the field. 7:47 to go in the I formation. Aston and Olesen. Bryce Hargrove, extra tackle in motion. Olesen cuts it outside. Touchdown Pittsburgh, but a flag flies late. A late flag from the backfield. And this one's coming back.
Holding, offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty, third down.
10th penalty of the game.
They call left guard Connor DeTino. He comes around. He's on the DB. Number 76, Connor, right there. And I'm not sure exactly what they call because it seems to me that he pretty much...
It's a huge call, too.
Rolled him over.
For a second, I thought they might kind of give the first down and say that the holding happened beyond the line of scrimmage. But now it's 3rd and 11. Picket to throw. Looking downfield. French, touchdown! Perfect missile from Picket. And Pittsburgh can taste a trip to Charlotte.
You've got to give a lot of credit to Kenny Picket. He basically looked off Justin Strenad long enough to open up that window right down the middle of the field that allowed him to be able to get that touchdown.
Hessman to tack on the extra point. Yes, indeed. Kenny Picket. What a game this guy's had. So much focus on the runners, Olesen and Hall, but today Pickett, back-breaking touchdown scored by Maurice French on a brilliant throw from Kenny Picket after the penalty.
Yeah, and French is located right here, but look at Chuck Wade, the safety, and Justin Strenad. He's going to mirror everything that Kenny Picket does, and once we roll it, French does a great job of sticking the outside foot in the ground, coming across the middle. And Chuck Wade, he does not have any chance at all in defending this route. Great play concept.
See if Greg Dortch, can he make a play? Nope. Ushered out of bounds immediately by Jazzy Stalker. Virginia, Georgia Tech coming up, 3:30. West Durham, James Bates, Rebecca Capel getting set. Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. And after that play, I think it's Dortch shaken up on the Pittsburgh sideline.
Not sure what happened.
Jonoff also shaken up for Pittsburgh. Possible they collided with a kicking net over there. Coming up 3:30. Both these teams bowl eligible. What a year Bronco Mendenhall has had. And for this Georgia Tech squad, a strong run the past few weeks. Kind of a similar team to Pittsburgh. Started September slow, come on strong under Paul Johnson. And similar to Pittsburgh as well. The rushing game has been unbelievable, which it usually is.
Yeah.
But Tobias Oliver has been the revelation in addition to Taquan Marshall for Georgia Tech. And there's Dortch. Side by side with Dave Clausen. And we mentioned it earlier. Clausen grew up a Pittsburgh fan. And he got to coach against him one time before, but not as a head coach. It was the season opener in 1998. He was an assistant offensive coordinator at Villanova. And I think he had to be pretty pleased with his offense's performance that day. Pitt won the game 48-41. So Villanova gave Pitt a battle in that 98 opener. Clausen is the OC.
Crazy as this sounds, I was talking to the great Brian Westbrook.
Right.
He played for Clausen at Villanova at that time.
Looking deep downfield, Surratt makes the catch. That's what Wake Forest needed to start the drive. Newman to Surratt across midfield for 30 yards.
Yeah, and they still have time to get accomplished what they need to and have a chance to come back and win this football game with plays like that.
Nice job picking up the blitz and better job defending the pass. Dane Jackson. I'm curious what Brian Westbrook had to say about Dave Clausen.
No, he said that was the reason why Philly had the opportunity to come and grab him, because Clausen put him in positions to be able to highlight his talents. Whether or not if it was rushing the football out of the backfield or putting him in different places and getting the football to him. First back to have 1,000 yards receiving and rushing.
He was a pretty good player.
Very good play.
Tough guy to tackle, I'm sure. Newman on second down. Surratt slipped and it's intercepted. Down the sideline for Pittsburgh, Jason Pinnock. Second interception of the day thrown by Jamie Newman.
Costly turnover. You look at Sage Surratt. He does a nice job of pushing off, but he slips. And so the timing was okay, but he slipped. And that allowed Jason Pinnock to be able to come away with that interception. But costly turnover. They had enough time on the clock, and they knew that. That's the reason why they were pressing the issue as far as getting the football down the field.
Pinnock, the sophomore from Windsor, Connecticut, had his first sack of the season last week. Comes up with his second pick of the season here in the fourth quarter. After the 25-yard return, it's Olesen down to the Wake 37. Let's go down to the sideline with Stormy.
A lot of disappointed faces down here on this Wake Forest sideline. And when Jason Pinnock picked that ball up, you could drop a pin on this sideline. It was so quiet. I don't think anyone even moved.
They've stressed turnovers all year long, and it's incredible. Wake Forest, in the history of Wake Forest football, which is 117 seasons, the Demon Deacons have never gone to a bowl game in a season when they've had a negative turnover differential. Including today, the turnover differential for the year is -7. Now Wake has 6 more minutes today and has a trip to Durham next week. in a way, they've almost overachieved to be within striking distance of a bowl game without dominating in the turnover department.
Yeah, and you look at the fact of what they don't have coming into the season. They suffered 6 season-ending injuries prior to the start of this season and 7 additional since the season started. And so to see where Wake Forest is at, actually knowing that right there, you have to say, you know what, good job for being able to hang in there.
Hey, this play feels like the game right here. 3rd and 5 with 5 and change to go. They give it to Carter around the left edge. Basham in pursuit, but Carter's got the first down. Malik Carter. They said he wasn't going to be played if he wasn't a big part of the game plan. They've now given him the ball 5 times. There's his biggest play of the day.
Look at the speed. And even though Boogie Basham almost had him, I thought he was dead to rights right there, tackle for a loss. But this guy is an electric player, very elusive, and as you saw right there, very fast.
Good play call from Sean Watson. And now after the 17-yard run by Carter, 1st and 10 from the Wake 20. An opportunity to bleed more time off the clock. Olison swarmed for no gain. Wake Forest takes a timeout. Stop the clock with 4:29 to go. We'll take the break too. The edge, little bootleg. Down to the 6.
Kenny Picket with the carry.
Great design coming out. Nobody on the right side over there. They run a naked bootleg. Kenny Picket decides to keep it. Stays in bounds. Very smart to run the clock down.
Hey, Wake's defense has been on the field for nearly 40 minutes today. You played 15 years in the NFL. Can you characterize what it's like as a defensive player just when you're out there that long, late in the 4th quarter?
It's frustrating because you look at each other and say, who's going to make a play? And it turns into a challenge, but when you continuously put into those positions over and over again, it starts to wear on you. Then it starts to wear and tear. So for these guys to have given up 27 points today, I thought they played pretty well, taking into consideration of what they used to be. Not being able to get properly aligned, allowing explosive plays. Everything that Pitt got today, they had to work for it. And you have to give them credit for that. So to your point, going into next week when they go and play Duke, they still have a lot on the line to play for. They should pull out some things out of this game with some encouragement.
And for Pittsburgh next week, they've got a road trip to Miami. A Hurricanes team that's been struggling, but certainly still dangerous. As Pitt tries to get 8 regular season wins, presuming they can wrap this one up. Another timeout called by Dave Clawson. Well, Pitt fans may be interested in knowing something about the ACC Championship game. Tickets to the 2018 Dr. Pepper ACC Football Championship are on sale now. Kickoff 8 p.m. 2 weeks from today, Saturday, December 1st in Charlotte, North Carolina. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Pittsburgh and Clemson. Pat Narduzzi has taken this team from 2-3 to winning 5 of 6, and they are minutes away from the official Coastal coronation. Wake Forest does have 1 timeout left. Hall behind Aston in the backfield on 2nd and goal. Aaron Hall may have lost a yard. Clawson takes another timeout. While we have a moment, Dave Clawson told us a great story yesterday about his history with Pat Narduzzi. From when Clawson was the head coach at Bowling Green and Narduzzi was the defensive coordinator at Michigan State, they were both recruiting the same player. They were friendly. They talked about who they're going after. It was a running back from Columbus, Ohio. And Clausen thought that maybe he'd be a secondary guy for Michigan State, and he called Narduzzi, and they actually wanted him as a linebacker. Bowling Green wanted him as a running back, and he basically committed to Bowling Green initially because Michigan State, well, they weren't going to commit to him as a running back. And then one night there was an issue at Michigan State. There was an altercation at a fraternity party. They lost a couple of their running backs. The next day, this running back called Bowling Green and said, "Sorry, coach, I got to go to Michigan State." The name of that running back?
Who was it?
Le'Veon Bell.
Wow.
Pickett throws it back. It's the offensive lineman, Bryce Hargrove, into the end zone. Make it. That's Stefano Millen. Stefano Millen into the end zone for Pittsburgh. The left tackle, they throw it back to him. Something they did many times with Brian O'Neill over the last several years. And there's an injury after the play. And there's looks of concern on the Pitt players' faces. Jimmy Morrissey, starting center. Get some help from Mike Herndon. A play that's supposed to be the capper, the cherry on top of everything for this offensive line, spoiled a little bit by the center Morrissey getting shaken up, but it's a lateral to Stefano Millen, the grad transfer from Kent State.
Very creative in the play call. I had no idea. I didn't even expect him to be able to do that, but I hate to do or to have a play like that and suffer with Jimmy Morrissey, the head guy that kind of runs the line checks for the offensive line for the Pitt Panthers.
It is a touchdown for the left tackle. A rushing play officially.
Jim Morrissey, he's coming out, and he's just blocking to the side.
He landed.
He gets rolled up on the backside over there.
Millen landed on Morrissey.
Yeah. He's coming out with the lead block, and he gets rolled up on.
Hopefully Jimmy Morrissey's all right. Stefano Millen. Wonder if he ever imagined when he came to Pittsburgh for his senior season, or for his final year of eligibility, that he'd score a touchdown in a game that would clinch a division title to send his team to the ACC championship game.
Did you see how he had the ball in his left hand? He was trying to show us, hey, I'm an athlete too.
You like this running?
And I caught it, and I dove in for the touchdown.
He's going to be unbearable to be around. He's going to be begging for more carries. Quadri Darren, I'll give you a break next week. Just line me up at tailback. Don't forget, coming up, West Durham, James Bates, Rebecca Capel standing by in Atlanta, Virginia, and Georgia Tech. New quarterback for Wake Forest, Matthew Considine. Redshirt freshman walk-on from St. Augustine, Florida. DeAndre Delaney. It's officially mop-up time, TK. Pittsburgh down 10-6 at the half. Wins the second half 28-3. Getting something in these next 3 minutes.
Yeah, and it shows you a lot about this football team. Very resilient. And they understand they like to be in close games like this because they believe with their running game, they can not only draw down the clock, but to be able to make plays and force you to make a mistake because you're not running at the tempo you want.
Tough first half, characterized by penalties and missed opportunities. They missed an extra point in the first half. That play going nowhere. And you know, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just throwing this out there. Clemson looks real good, obviously. Remember what happened the last time Pitt and Clemson played? That was when the Tigers were #2 in the country the year they won the national title. Their only loss that year was to Pat Narduzzi's Pitt Panthers. That's 2 weeks from now. There's going to be a lot of talk and breaking down that matchup in these next couple weeks.
A lot of talk, a lot of good coaching. Should have a great ACC matchup game. Now it's getting to the point now they just want to run down the clock, get some guys some extra reps, walk away, come out of here, nobody being injured.
What's Wake going to be thinking, especially in regard to their quarterback situation with Jamie Newman heading into what's a must-win game in the regular season finale, the Duke Blue Devils Senior Day next Saturday?
Well, it's even though his performance today, 2 interceptions, only 206 yards passing the football, he did a lot of things well, but you cannot have the crucial turnovers at such crucial times.
Yep.
And I think knowing next week, they got to win one more game to get to a bowl game. And so that's a lot of pressure internally. But keep in mind, this is only his second start. And so now going into week 3, the coaches have a better understanding of how to utilize him, how to put him in certain positions, or not to put him in certain positions to where he cannot be successful.
I'll tell you, the Pitt fans have taken over the crowd right now at BB&T Field. You can hear the Let's Go Pitt chants 30 seconds away from officially booking their ticket to the ACC title game in Charlotte. On 4th down, carrying the pile. Wake will move the chains, but it's moot at this point. A play for DeAndre Delaney to remember, but a season for Pittsburgh to remember. Pat Narduzzi's team was 2-3 at the end of September. Since then, they've won 5 of 6. They've won 5 straight games in the ACC, and Narduzzi gets a bath. And it's got to feel great as Pittsburgh officially clinches the ACC Coastal Division with a 34-13 victory on the road over Wake Forest.
Coach Narduzzi is walking like his back is cold. I know it's cold.
Guys who have known each other about 25 years.
He did a nice